Hey, what's going on, everyone? Joker here. Hope you're all doing well. Today we have some rather interesting information that I feel we need to go over on the channel because it explains so much about what's been going on over the past 2 years or so with AMD's Radeon graphics division with Vega and Navi, and why Vega was such a failure and why it was delayed so long, and could also even explain why Raja Kaduri decided to leave AMD and go over to Intel. And all of this is just starting to make so much sense. So we got to start off over on Forbes.com. This is coming courtesy of Jason Evangelho, who spoke with some of his sources on the basis of anonymity, so he can't name his sources at all. But just to give Jason some pedigree, before working for Forbes this time, he actually worked for AMD. So he worked for Forbes, then he went to AMD for a while, and now he is back working at Forbes. And he was working at AMD during the development time of RX Vega. So he spoke with some of his sources, and he was able to find out that the Sony PlayStation 5 is going to be using Navi along with Zen architectures inside of the new PS5, which they revealed at E3. Sony just kind of said, we're working on a PS5. They didn't just, give out the specs or anything crazy like that. We don't really know too much about it. Probably won't be out until at least next year. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have given us more information at E3 2018. But we know now because of Jason that they're going to be using Zen along with Navi, which could either be separate components or it might be on an SoC that's a system on chip. We'll just have to wait and see on that. Now, okay, it's going to be using Navi. Why is that such a big deal? Well, as Jason goes on to say in this article, Navi was actually created for Sony. So Navi has been built to be used specifically in the Sony PlayStation 5. And this is where it gets really interesting, because not only was it being built for that, but AMD even pulled resources away from working on RX Vega to help build Navi so that they could have it for Sony. And that is going to explain so much about what I was talking about in the start of this video. So in the article, Jason goes over these points, and he goes on to say that the vast majority of AMD and Sony's Navi collaboration took place while Raja Kaduri, Radeon Technologies Group boss and chief architect, was at AMD. Kaduri then joined up with Intel late last year as chief architect for its new core and visual computing group. After that, he goes to say, but the collaboration came at the expense of Radeon RX Vega and other in-development projects. Allegedly, Kaduri saw up to a massive 2/3 of his engineering team devoted exclusively to Navi against his wishes, which resulted in a final RX Vega product that Kaduri was displeased with, as resources and engineering hours were much lower than anticipated. And as he mentioned in his comparison report, the implication is that AMD CEO Dr. Lisa Su wanted to devote more energy into semi-custom business rather than its desktop graphics division. So taking a look at that piece of information there, it starts to make a whole lot of sense why RX Vega came out probably about a year after it really should have. If you're looking at its competition with NVIDIA and going head-to-head with that, RX Vega 64 is competing with the 1080, Vega 56 is competing with the 1070, and NVIDIA was a year ahead of them coming to that party, and AMD was so far behind. And that is in large part why RX Vega was considered to be such a big failure last summer in 2017. And it makes a lot of sense now when 2/3 of Raj's engineering team was pulled away from him to work on a chip specifically for the Sony PlayStation 5. That's crazy. So this very well could be why Raja decided to leave. I mean, he left pretty much right after RX Vega came out. He went on sabbatical, and then after that, he decided to leave the company entirely and go over to Intel. So I don't know if you can really blame him now at this point, when he was working on his passion project of Vega, only to have his team pulled away from him to work on a chip for a console. And then Vega got delayed. It came out. He wasn't happy with the final product. And of course he would want to leave after that. If you're working for a company and they're going to, they're promising you're going to be working on the product that you want to be working on, and then they're just going to pull your team away from you, and you're going to come out with something that you really didn't want to make at the end of the day, why wouldn't you go try to work for a company that is going to allow you to work on what you actually were there to work on to begin with, and get all of the resources that you deserve to get that architecture out there? So I honestly, with this information, assuming that it's true, and based on Jason Evangelho's pedigree and history in the tech press, I have no reason to doubt this information whatsoever. So I don't really think I could blame Raja so much anymore for leaving. I think we really have to blame AMD and their resource management and deciding to back consoles over desktop graphics. So please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on what AMD did here and dedicating so many resources to working on Navi for the PlayStation 5 rather than on the desktop market. I mean, based on what they're saying here with 7nm Navi along with Zen, it sounds like the PlayStation 5 is going to be one hell of a powerhouse console, but that really doesn't help us here on the PC, and no doubt we will get Navi GPUs for the PC, but recent rumors are saying that it's going to be kind of a mid-range part, so we'll just have to really wait and see on that. But it being mid-range, as Jason even says in this article, makes a lot of sense if it was built around doing it for a console. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see on this, but very interesting information. I feel like it really explains a lot of what we saw in like the last year or so with RX Vega and why it was delayed, why it didn't really pick up traction once it did finally release, and why Raja kind of left the company. This just really sheds light on pretty much all of these things that were going on behind closed doors. So I look forward to your comments and discussion down below. As always, links to the source for this story over at Forbes will be down in the description if you do want to check that out. If you enjoyed this video or found it informative in any way, don't forget to leave a like on it down below and subscribe if you're not already, and you can always hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment of content here on the channel. And I'll catch you guys next time. Ta-ra.